It's a Monday, and as we always do at this time of the evening, we bring you our politics wrap with my colleague Natasha Piri. Natasha, a very good evening to you. What's in your political basket tonight?
Well, thank you so much, and of course, welcome to our SABC News viewers. We'll be speaking to the DA National Spokesperson shortly. But just onto this story, the ANC's first Deputy Secretary General, Nomvula Mokonyane, says the decision by some coalition partners to raise their concerns in the media is not helpful. Mokonyane was responding to a recent statement where the DA threatened the ANC after a motion of no confidence was adopted in the Tshwane Metro against DA Mayor Cilliers Brink.
Relationships are much more tightened, demonstrated by this particular visit. And as we may all recall, Vietnam has the best experience around renewal. They also, in our closed session, shared with us on their own life experience of 40 years of renewal. Something that the ANC, both organizationally, but as well as for the people of South Africa, we take quite seriously. That indeed renewal is not a once-off, and renewal is a process, both in state, amongst people, and in the party. The second issue about these relationships is around opportunities that exist between Vietnam and South Africa in the areas of trade. There's also those 4 issues that they've identified that they believe we need to work together on. And those processes, that's why you saw Comrade Mamuluku Kubai, who's the chair of the ETC, who must then review the commission's work and the progress that has been made in government and rekindle those areas that have not been paid attention to, such as coal, for example, the issues around technology and knowledge-based economy that they are also quite advanced in. We all are still cracking our heads on whether it's right or wrong to deal with the health insurance. Over 90% of the people of Vietnam are covered by the National Health Insurance, and access to quality education throughout the education system is also one of the best practices that we will work on. And hopefully then through this GNU, we can show all other parties why it is so important to be open-minded and see how other countries have progressed. They've increased even their middle strata, albeit all these issues of social security. They've now actually are going into a much more higher number of over 60% of a middle class that consciously they are building. And these are some of the good things that through our own work in terms of 30 years of democracy, we will pick up these weaknesses and go and interact with them on building the ANC, renewing the ANC, political education. What has it taken the Vietnamese Communist Party to renew itself over these 40 years? And now it is actually an organization that is quite confident that they may not have concluded renewal, but they are on the right path because the country and the party are stable.
100 days on since the government of national unity, it's not that easy. We saw what the one of the leaders of the DA, Helen Zille, said based on what has transpired in Tshwane. Quite a turbulent times in terms of some of the levels of government, not necessarily national.
We have agreed that there should always be interaction and engagement at the political level. We will not want to engage on platforms that are not correct, and it is in our interest, not that we can't respond, but the most important thing is that nobody must assume that we serve in the GNU at their behest. There are so many other parties that are signatories to the GNU, and there has to be also respect of one another, as well as appreciation of what we all stand for. And throwing threats against each other is not in the spirit of trying to build unity in action and through collaboration. We will also in this NWC reflect on the progress, and not only the 100 years, the 100 days of the GNU, but also look at how we deal with what was called a clearing platform, where when there are issues where there's deadlock, we find space to break those deadlock, those areas where we have actually been deadlocked at. It's unfortunate how Helen conducts herself.
Now, some political analysts believe that it is unlikely that the ousting of former Tshwane Mayor Cilliers Brink will affect the arrangement of the Government of National Unity. Brink was removed as Tshwane Mayor last Thursday following a vote of no confidence brought against him by the ANC. This is a move that has seen the DA Federal Council chairperson Helen Zille write to the ANC to reinstate Brink or face the risk of the DA walking away from any engagements on hung municipalities. Last week, the DA leadership in Gauteng asked for its leader John Steenhuisen to meet ANC President Cyril Ramaphosa to engage on the instability of local government after Brink was voted out as mayor. For more on this and other issues, we speak to the DA National Spokesperson, Karabo Khakhau. Karabo, thank you so much for joining us on SABC News on the politics wrap. I just want to start off with, has John Steenhuisen, the DA leader, met with ANC President Cyril Ramaphosa? Because I remember last week the DA in Gauteng had said that they're going to request the intervention from National to actually get clarity around the understanding of the GNU, what the ANC understands and what the DA understands. Has this meeting taken place?
Good evening, Natasha, firstly, and thank you for having me. Good evening also to your viewers. I can't confirm whether that meeting has certainly taken place or not, because you would also remember that both the President and the leader of the Democratic Alliance have been abroad dealing with pressing matters at the start of the GNU's agenda as far as our arrangements with our international counterparts are concerned. What I can confirm, however, is that there have been conversations as far as Gauteng and its politics are concerned within our federal seats, both from Helen's office and Mbalula's offices, strictly trying to ensure that we do get to a point where we can see the necessary stability in Tshwane, for the residents of Tshwane, who do depend on a government that not only is able to get the audit outcomes that are necessary and are able to improve the financial position of the municipality, but solely also to ensure that the residents of Tshwane get to benefit from optimal service delivery. But also on a greater scale to also try to see how we can get the entire province of Gauteng to be that which the residents of that province require it to be, beyond just the municipal functions, but on a provincial level. So those conversations have been taking place, and it is unfortunate that we got to a place where the ANC still hasn't come to the reality of the electoral performances in that particular province. The bitterness that is seen there has left residents naked and wanting, because there's absolutely no sobriety attached to the rationale of the motion of no confidence against Cilliers Brink. There's certainly no rationale attached to the decisions that have to do with that which Gauteng is as a political arena, but it has everything to do just with the political greed, the opportunity there for ANC cadres in Tshwane in particular to still be able to line up their pockets ahead of the 2026 elections that we're gearing up towards, and simply because there's a hunger for another opportunity to see if they can't be in a better position to up their performance electorally, because they see right now that there's no way they can turn back, particularly because we've been doing so well in government. So you can't vote out the Democratic Alliance in government in 2026 when they're doing so well. So rather get rid of them now, so that 2026 you can at least have a better opportunity to lie about what it is that you're able to give to South Africans.
Karabo, on the issue of Gauteng, sorry to cut you in there, just on the issue of Gauteng, because we spoke to Kenamuloto on Friday, and he had labeled the ANC chairperson in Gauteng, Panyaza Lesufi, as anti-GNU. We know that the province is in a minority government right now, but does the DA see Mr. Lesufi as a stumbling block?
He is, and he's part of why the ANC can easily be characterized as a schizophrenic party, because you have the ANC nationally that has some level of sobriety. That's why we have the GNU intact when we're able to get to a position where South Africans are able to benefit from a government of national unity that seeks to, one, improve the economy, two, create jobs, three, ensure that there's enough social and political stability for the country. But then in Gauteng, unfortunately, you have the likes of Lesufi, that Telisufi and his greed and his inability to move with the times and capture the true sense of what the residents of Gauteng want to do. So there's a problem there, a serious problem. And it's not just a problem for us as a political party that finds itself uncomfortable in rooms with his likes, but it's a sad reality for the residents of Gauteng who have time and again through their votes have shown that they have no confidence in Lesufi and his team to lead them, who have cried to say that the state of the economy of the province is not where it's supposed to be. The government levers there are not optimally functioning, therefore hampering the effective and efficient ability of that government's ability to deliver services for its residents. So, and this is just but a small portion of what is wrong with that which we see within Gauteng.
Okay.
So what we do want to ensure, however, Natasha, moving forward, is that we don't find ourselves in a trap where the relationship in Tshwane is isolated from a relationship with other municipalities within the same province, because we're dealing with the same people. And that's why our gloves are off in that sense, to say, if you've been able to assure us stability in Tshwane, we know that you can't assure us stability within the same province and other municipalities. Therefore, all conversations that we've been having with you in as far as other municipalities and Gauteng are concerned have to be halted, because you are not operating in good faith, you're not reliable, and the basis of your arguments have zero rationale.
And talking about that ultimatum you've now given, to the ANC, do you not think that this might threaten the stability of the government of national unity? And this is as we reflect on the 100 days.
Look, Natasha, like I said, unfortunately, the ANC is schizophrenic. So you have two types of ANCs that you're dealing with here. So whether or not they will be one identity at the end of the day of the organization, and what that kind of identity would look like, is something that I'm unable to sangomize on right now. What I do know for sure is that in the first 100 days of the GNU, the Democratic Alliance participation has been that which we had promised to South Africans. That's why you've been able to see the outcomes of clearings of backlogs on ID applications and visa applications in the Department of Home Affairs, the focused approach of reviewing government expenditure and the interests, and bridging the gap between what the financial composition of our budgets looks like and the output thereof being service delivery, as is seen in the Department of Basic Education or CBU's tender on the 10 billion rands tender that was meant to be used for feeding students and kids across in the country. You've been able to see our clamping down on the corruption mafia and construction mafias within the Department of Public Works and Infrastructure, and as well as Minister Dean McPherson's clamping down on the procurement of more buildings, because we do have buildings that can be used optimally to save costs there. You've been able to see Solimala's commitment to ensuring that we digitize all spaces of government and social fabrics. This is why we also want to enter into the relationship with Starlink, and that has been really, really great. When you look at the Department of Agriculture, are clamping down there on a blanket approach to the foot and mouth disease problem, where if one province has a problem with foot and mouth, then other provinces' economies also get to be on a standstill, whereas they're not affected.
Karabo, just in the interest of time, I'm sorry to cut you in there. I just want to rope in one more question there. I know that you're aware that the Demarcation Board has received thousands of applications for the redetermination of municipal wards. There are currently 13 cases right now that have been deferred and subject to further research and public engagement. Now, in the past, the DA has actually complained that this is meant to benefit the ANC. A case in point is 2015, when the DA took the Municipal Demarcation Board's decision to merge Midvaal and Infuleni to the North Gauteng High Court. Of course, we know that this decision was set aside. Seeing that the local government elections are just in 2026, what is the DA's current position on the matter?
The matter remains the same, right? If you are going to relook at the demarcation of wards, it must be strictly because residents stand to benefit from that redemarcation. It shouldn't be because we have run out of ways of garnering votes, and therefore we must relook into ways of milking small votes and absorbing them into ANC wards. And this has been a consistent characteristic that we have been seeing in the order of demarcations, not only in Gauteng, but even in my home province in the Free State. That has been the case, the Northwest, every other province. So that is it. So we do not believe that there must be cases where the demarcation process is manipulated for political reasons, because it defeats the whole constitutional reason why demarcation processes are there, the whole reasons why we would even consider rearrangements. If the population has stayed the same, if the municipal resources are still the same, and if the ability of residents to still receive services accordingly remains the same, there's absolutely no reason why a demarcation process must be re-looked into.
Yeah, okay. Thank you so much for your time, Karabo. And of course, we will be catching up with you in the next coming days in regards to these issues that the DA spokesperson, Karabo Khakhau, had actually raised. As for me and the Politics Wrap team, I'll be back on Friday. Paul will be back with you at the top of 10.